Hi all, hope you're doing well. Just wanted to go over week 6, week 7, and then everyone did really well in the quiz. I think there's only one question that wasn't answered properly. So last week we talked about operations, quality and process improvement, and again, these are areas, especially the quality side, where you'll get a ton of additional education in the program if you are either a major or a minor in HSA. So lots of good info to come on that if you found that interesting. Obviously we had our discussion, we had a written assignment from last week and our quiz. So let's hop over to week 7. Remember, please, this is our last full week of class. So this class runs Monday to Sunday, obviously, but the next week of class starts Monday, a week from today, and then only runs through Friday. So Friday is your last day in next week, in week 8, to complete work. I'm very firm on that because I need to have things done and grades submitted, and I prefer not to work the entire weekend doing that as people are submitting things at the last minute. So please have everything submitted by the end of the day, 11:59 RMU time on Friday next week. So not this week, next week. This week we have, and that includes your final exam, which is next week. So just be aware of that and make sure that you get that completed on time by Friday at the end of the day. So in week 7, we're going to look at financial management and economics. So lots of different areas. I'm going to take kind of a broad brush look at economics and healthcare, but then also talk a little bit about price and why in the U.S. it costs so much more for healthcare than it does anywhere else. My cat is attacking my screen, sorry. So, why does it cost so much more in the U.S. For healthcare than in other places? So we do have a discussion this week about healthcare spending and whatnot, and I just want to get everyone's thoughts about what are ways to improve rising costs of healthcare in this country. There's lots of different thoughts out there on how we can do that, but I'm hoping to hear some of your ideas as well. We do have a case study that is found in the textbook, so please find that in the textbook and complete the assignments, questions 1 through 7, that are found at the end of the case study. This is not a group case study assignment. This is an individual one, so please make sure you complete the assignment on your own and submit that. And then we also have a quiz and an ed puzzle this week. And I also wanted to share, I don't think outside of this case study, I don't think we have any other real written assignments, but I really encourage you to go back. For those of you that haven't looked at any of the feedback, and I know there's some of you that haven't, so I encourage you to please go back and look at some of the feedback on the papers, because there are a lot of concepts that maybe I didn't take points off, especially related to APA. We're really only in the second term of using APA version 7. We just flipped to that in fall of last year. So I'm really not taking off a lot, points in those regards. Usually points in that section are taken off for grammar, spelling, those types of things. But I'm finding a lot of consistent errors, papers not being written in APA format, a lot of conversational language in papers. So, using things, writing in the same way that you would speak, using colloquial language in your paper. You want to avoid that, obviously. And then also just, kind of the notion of format of your paper. You want to have an intro, you want to have the body, you want to have the kind of the wrap up or the conclusion at the end, all of those types of things. Now, when you're doing a case study assignment like you are this week, I don't expect that. You can just list the question and answer the question. But in your formal papers, when we're doing reflection essays or other types of papers, that you want to be doing that all of the time. And practice in that and getting feedback each time is preparing you for, if you are in the HSA program, you'll write an undergraduate thesis. And if you're not in the HSA program and you're in this class as a minor, I guarantee that you'll have plenty of large papers to write in whatever program it is that you're in. So the purpose is really to kind of give you that feedback on those. So please make sure you're taking a look at it. The other thing I would mention is make sure it's in your own words. I've seen, especially as we've reached the end of this term, I've seen an uptick in I won't call it plagiarism because I don't think it's purposeful most of the time. And not, even accidental plagiarism is still plagiarism, but it's a small amount of the paper. But things that are just poorly paraphrased. Paraphrasing is the activity of reading a resource, taking notes as you're reading, or however it is that you digest information, whatever works best for you, and then restating it in your own words. And what I'm finding is that perhaps a lot of folks have learned shortcuts over time where you just copy and paste your interesting information into the paper and switch a few words around. And the plagiarism checking software products like Turnitin catch those. They look for a minimum number of words similar in a paragraph. So that's not really, and that's not appropriate paraphrasing. Appropriate paraphrasing is really taking information that you've learned and sharing that in your paper appropriately. Just putting a citation at the end does not excuse that activity. Now, you can use direct quotes in some instances, but it should never be more than 10% of your paper. And number one, I'm not seeing a lot of direct quotes most of the time, and I'm seeing between 25 and 30% of some papers coming back with a almost verbatim match to outside resources. So be aware of that. Be aware of it going forward, because I'm not the only faculty member that looks for those sorts of things. At least all of our HSA faculty, I can say, look for that stuff pretty regularly. And I think that the key is that if you're just copying and pasting from a resource, you don't necessarily understand the information. And actually, we find more often that you copy and paste when you don't understand the information. If you understood it, you could reiterate it in your own words. So really go that extra step and learn the info and write it in your own words. Unless it is something that really needs to be quoted, like if it's statistics or something like that, and you really need to quote it, and then quote it properly. The other piece that I'm noticing is that people are sharing information from outside resources in their own words, but they're sharing all of this information but not citing any of it. And anytime you use information from an external resource, you need to cite that. So, if I were to say, there's can't even think of anything off the top of my head, but let's say I was talking about the Terry Schiavo case, or actually we don't do that in this class. Let's say I'm talking about an ethics case, and I've learned about this case through reading an article, or let's say we're doing something on economics, and I learned something through watching this crash course econ video about the economics of healthcare. I can share the information that I learned in my own words, but then you still have to cite this video because it's not your original thought. So it's someone else's thought that you're sharing in your own words. That still requires citation in the narrative of your document. So just be aware of that. I'm seeing some issues in that realm as well. So let's hop over to the slides here. So like I said, I think there was only one question from this past week that wasn't answered properly. So, and most everyone got this one correct as well. Definition of quality provided by the Institute of Medicine is the most widely accepted definition of healthcare quality. Which of the following are not parts of the definition? So, achieve the desired health outcomes. That is obviously population matching societal preferences, blah, blah, blah. There's several aspects to this, but not all are aspects of the IOM definition. Providing value consistent with the cost structure of healthcare is not part of quality. So providing value consistent with cost structure is meaning that if you pay less for care, you are, potentially getting less value, that the care is somehow lesser quality or less valuable than, per se, if you used a healthcare provider that charged more. And that's certainly not something that we're going for. We're looking for equitable pricing across the continuum, and everyone to receive value in the services that they are receiving from our healthcare organization. So, and that was it. So let's go back to the classroom. Like I said, we have our case study, our quiz, this ed puzzle, our discussion. The final exam blueprint is up here, so if you want to get studying for your final will be next week, like I said, due by Friday at the end of the day. And that's all I've got. So any questions, please let me know. Thanks.